what I need to do. My cloud space is taken up. It says it's recording. Okay. So anyway, welcome everybody. Since devoting most of my time to Webheads, I've sort of morphed into different communities of practice, and one of the latest ones is Learning Together. And that's this is episode number 419 of Learning Together. And what we're doing tonight is something very special to me and to Michael and possibly to Felix. I'm sure to Felix, he wouldn't be here otherwise. But we're here to reminisce about something that happened a long time ago, 20 years ago. Man, like 22 years. Well,
Yeah.
When did we begin? I don't know. Do you remember? When? 97, 98?
Yeah.
It's got to be 97.
Okay.
Or it could be 98, but it's around then. So that's 20 plus years.
Yeah. If you have any records from before September 1998, I would really like to have them and put them up on the website. But basically, that's the first record I have of our chat. I'll try and show it to you here. First of all, before I go, I said this is Learning Together, episode 419, and this is September 8th, 2019. And we're talking about something that began, as far as I know, in September 1998, but I know that that was only when I first gathered records. So we're trying to work out what we were doing back then. These people in the chat, me, Vance Stevens, and Michael Coghlan, Felix Zaniboni, who used to call himself Bahia, and
That's right.
we're all part of the original Webheads in Action. And let me just do a little screen share, and I'll just kind of take you down memory lane here for a minute. If I can share that screen. Okay, should pop you into a screen share. Let's see, I've got to manipulate the screen here. Okay, so well, actually, this is if you type webheads.info into your screen, you'll get this. Into a browser, you'll get this page here that has links to some of the things we used to do. And the original Webheads in Action is in 2002, but writing for Webheads is what I've got my little cursor on right there. If you click there, you can see our pictures. So there's my picture and Felix's, and here's Michael back in, and then Felix right below that. So these are a lot of the people who sent us pictures, who were interacting back in those days. And up here, there's a link to text chats. Let me see if I can find it. It's up here at the top. Text chats. Where is it? Text chat logs. There it is. Chat logs. Pretty poorly designed web page there. That's from 20 years ago as well. I thought it was super back then.
It was brilliant.
Yes. Let's see. It's probably got a date on it. The last I worked on it was in 2008. Okay, so
Still brilliant.
yeah. Anyway, these are the chat logs. So starting in 1998, that's what we have there, and you can click on any of those years. And what I've been doing while I've been sitting around waiting for you guys was clicking on. I think I got up to 2001. I was trying to find where we started. As I was searching on Felix in the text chats here, let me just find you one. Here's Felix. Back
My Lord, I was so slim.
Yeah, me too. Wow, look at both of us. This one looks like. And here's Ludmila. Ludmila, how are you?
Yes, Ludmila, I'm sorry. Yes, I have adjusted the sound and yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So anyway,
It's Michael here.
yeah, and Felix from the old days. These people here. I don't know when did you join us, Ludmila?
So I'm from Ukraine, from Kropivnitsky. I teach at the Flight Academy English.
Okay. I was teaching at a flight academy for the last several years. I'm retired from there now.
Tired, yes. Maybe soon I will be tired also.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so these guys that we're meeting with right now are quite special because we were all together back in the very first days. And this chat, I'm trying to move things around so I can scroll it. If this is from November 4th, 2001, I used to put people's pictures who were in the chat there. And if you click on this, actually, you can see Felix's page here. This is what Felix used to be like back then when he called himself Bahia.
Very slick.
Yeah.
Happy young man.
Yes. Happy old man, I hope. You look happy in all the Facebook posts that you share.
He's always in a swimming pool with a drink.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, no telling what's on that page. But anyway, these are pages. This was back in Web 1 days when I set up the web pages, and people in the group would communicate with us in the web pages. So we basically had all of these people communicating with each other. We called it writing for Webheads because we just got people to write. But we were doing a lot more than that. We were Michael found the Hear Me text chat, voice chat, which really revolutionized what we were doing, I think, back then. I don't know, Michael, do you want to say anything about that?
Well,
I
barely remember Hear Me, but it came about because David Winnett, or the guy who was responsible for study.com, is that what it was called? He studied EFI for, what was it called?
English
EFI
for Internet.
Webheads. No, English for Internet.
Yeah, that must be how Felix found it.
He put out a request for teachers to teach online classes.
And
I said, okay, I'll try. And he said, okay, you can teach speaking and listening. This was 1997. It was 97. And I said, how do you do that? And he said, well, find out. And he probably gave me tips. And one of those tools was Hear Me. So I just jumped in and figured out how to talk on the internet. And all these other people signed up for my classes. And then I started recording bits of audio and putting listening exercises up on my website. And it went from there.
Yeah, that's actually, I remember, I think I might have got it from you, and I put one up on the Webheads page, and we sort of started using that one. But it was a plugin. The brilliant thing was it was a plugin. You just embed it on your website, and then you could talk to people. And it was so novel at the time. It attracted a lot of attention. It's really kind of led to the, first of all, the demise of Webheads, writing for Webheads, or the thing that we were, because we accumulated all these other teachers there. And the teachers kind of suppressed the student voices, and that evolved into Webheads in action. But back in the turn of the century, we used to go to a lot of conferences and meet at conferences where I would be there face to face, or we'd meet online in those Hawaiian, I can't remember, teaching in the community colleges or something like that, and get students to join us, which was incredible back in those days, because we didn't know we could trust people.
That's right.
What's
I've just
happened
put
to
a link in the text chat there. It's still there. Another beautifully designed web page for my technical listening course.
Okay.
Probably none of those links work now, but
let's share it here. If I can figure out how to do that. I'm not figuring out how to do it because ooh, what happened to it? Oh, here it is. No. There it is. Okay, I've got it, but I got to share it. To do that, I've got to get into the Zoom window, and there we go. Here we are. Must be this one. Oh, I got to share it. Click share. Okay, TOEFL listening.
There it is.
Yeah. So when did you make this page? Have you got a date on it?
Well, I probably didn't date it. I learned about that much later. But if you go down the bottom and click to go to lessons,
okay.
There are actually, for example, there's a whole bunch of lessons in here. When, again, I don't know, Vance, somewhere between 97 and 2000.
Yeah, okay. I
Pure
did.
Voice was another tool that we used, which I just remembered when I saw it there. That was an email attachment tool.
Yeah, I was teaching something that David decided we should call writing and grammar. And I started out doing it in email. Did you start out in email as well?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And so that would have probably for me been around 1997. I would have been. It definitely was, because that's when I went to UAE, and that's where I started. Or maybe, no. I think I was actually teaching maybe when I was in I got interested in EFI because I'd moved to UAE. So that was in 97. So that would have been when I joined in the email courses. But I found that people weren't very interested in email. They loved to talk, say hi, but they didn't really like to do anything, especially if I called it writing and grammar. So one of my students, though, made a web page for me, and I was so enthralled with that I learned HTML myself, and that's how the web page came about. So, but the interesting thing is we moved off email. We moved into the Palace. David came up with the Palace. It was a move, multi-user virtual environment, and sort of like Tapped-in, which we used to use, except the Palace was what David used to call three-dimensional. It was really two-dimensional with links to doors that opened that made it appear three-dimensional. So it created the three-dimensional illusion by using mirrors. But in any event, so in the Palace, that's where we hooked up, because you had moved to the Palace probably before I did, and I just found you there because our classes were meeting 1 hour apart.
Yeah.
And you had Felix with you. So
that's a cat's tail, you can see.
A cat's tail, what's that?
That's in front of me.
Oh, in front of you, okay. Yeah. Let me stop the share and I can probably see it. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, lucky you still have a cat.
I have two now.
Yeah. All right.
She's very affectionate, so she's one of these. I can't lift her up and show you because she doesn't like being lifted up. We've lost Felix.
Yeah, let me see if I can reach him. Let's see what he's. Let's see if I can find him. I don't know how to reach him though. We should. We've lost track of most of the little spontaneous chats we used to have. I just found another one called Yo Teacher. Something like Tapped-in where you can go and you can hook up, or Skype is another one. I don't know. Have you got Felix on Skype?
Oh God.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
I don't use Skype that much anymore because of my life has changed, and also because it got taken over by Microsoft.
Ah, okay.
I lost interest in it.
Okay, I'm sending Felix a message. Maybe I've got another computer over here. We lost Ludmilla. I don't know, Michael. We just don't have the pizzazz we used to have, to really reel them in.
We need the Palace or something like that.
Oh, we need a guitar and some Jethro Tull, something.
3D world.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so here we are. So
found I did a presentation at the English Israeli teacher, what do they call it? Anyway, the Israeli English Teachers Association, ETI. I did a presentation in July '98.
Okay.
I did that having had experience with online teaching.
Have you got a link to it?
Yep.
Oh, why don't you share it?
But I don't have any link. Well, in the chat is the reference to
Okay.
the page I created for that presentation, and you can see it was July 98.
Okay. Let me just share it. I've got to pop around to, or do you want to share it? Oh, you I have to make you host. I'll just share it. It's less complicated. Okay, let's see. Where is that? That is here. Okay.
It's basically a whole bunch of links, and there is a PowerPoint that might still work.
Let's see. Okay. That.
Wow.
That's what it went to. It went to consort index. Consort.
Yeah. Dot index. So.
Are these your slides, perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I used to do things like this. Yeah.
Still work 21 years later, 22 years later.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. There are 19 slides. Shall I just page through them? Let me you've got that in the text chat. So so this must be the links to the different links in there were to each of the slides. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
okay.
And I'm just assuming, and I have always assumed that there was, and I was Dave's ESL Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I started classroom teaching before Webheads. I thought it was the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you were teaching through Dave's ESL Cafe?
Yeah.
Okay. Email, a new genre. Is this writing or talking? Says an ESL student.
That's a direct quote from a student. Well, yeah, as it says.
Do you remember, what was her name? She was from China. She was a shipbuilder, and she went to Texas A&M. And she, I've probably got her in one of these tabs I've got open on here. But anyway, we helped her to get into Texas A&M because she needed a letter to some government agency, and I wrote something for her, and possibly other webheads helped her to establish her credential so that they would give her a visa to come to Texas and study. And when she was in Texas, and I went to visit my parents there, her name was Sue. She drove down, and we sat talking, and she hugged my parents and all that, and she said that her friends asked her why she messed around with webheads. She said, they say it isn't real. And of course it is, isn't it? I mean, it's very real. That's one of the things that it would be interesting to talk to Felix about, because I remember when Felix first started, he didn't want to give us his name. He didn't want to tell us much about him. Do you remember?
I don't. Honestly.
Yeah.
I know it was there, but I don't remember that detail.
Yeah, he called himself Bahia.
Yeah.
And this. Yeah, I was with you at the time, so you must have been interacting with him before that. But he was very loath to give personal information about himself. So when I asked for pictures, it was hard to get people to send pictures. People just didn't do it. But I think Bahia was one of the first, or Felix was, and he started opening up and telling us more about himself and where he lived. And so once I got a couple of pictures, then all of a sudden everybody sent pictures, and that was, I liked, that was before Facebook, which started in 2004. I think Martin Dujamus created Moodle in 2002, and that had pictures associated with posts. But that was something we were doing with Webheads in Action, creating these web spaces that had pictures associated with people's, things they had written. So that was novel at the time. and it was something that we were doing. You know, we were right on the cusp there.
Oh, we were.
Here's
Here's for the panel.
yeah.
So this, yeah. So Webheads predates this in July '98. So we started in '97.
Okay. Yeah. So you started with, well, I think we both. Gosh, I don't have emails from that era. So, but David probably recruited us both in '97.
Felix is back.
Ah, great. Okay, let me just I'll pop over to Felix. Let me exit this share here so I can see him. Okay, there you are. Hi, Felix. How's your voice? Oh, you're muted. Now you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Yes.
Okay.
You've moved.
Well, we were just talking about you. We were talking about how you used to call yourself Bahia, and you didn't want to tell us who you were. What drew you out? Because this thing about trust on the internet is something we didn't really have. You couldn't take it for granted back then.
Yeah. I'm from Brazil, and I live in Bahia state. That's why I called myself at that time Bahia.
Yeah.
The state I live in. Yeah.
Yes, it's a good name. It represents you because it's a lifestyle and it's a good one. But I was just wondering what caused you to hesitate to share information about yourself, and what caused you to start to share? What made you comfortable in the environment?
I really don't remember. I really don't remember, Vance. But I remember that I was just a student of English at that time, 20 years ago, and I was looking for those kinds of environments on the internet, and there isn't at that time. Okay. Nowadays, you can find lots of environments like that, or better because of the technology. Okay, and I feel comfortable there because there were people all over the world. It was fantastic. I remember there was a teacher from she was American. She's American, but she lives in Germany. Maggie, yeah. And there was a student from Korea or Japan, England. I don't remember.
England. She's from Taiwan.
Yeah, Taiwan.
I wrote her, but I didn't get an answer, so maybe she's changed her email. I've seen her a couple of times since then. She lived in Hong Kong for a while, and sometimes I was passing through there, and
I remember that she was very active in the chat room.
Oh, and yeah, they invited me to come and speak in Taiwan, and she came there. She came up to the university where I was speaking, and so there was a lot of interaction with her and Aiden Ye. Do you remember Aiden? Was she with us, or maybe she was in Webheads in action later on?
I don't remember. And I want to apologize you, okay, now, because remember that time when we went to Brazil, and I couldn't meet you because
accident, death.
Yeah, an accident with my uncle, and he died.
Sure.
Yeah. We were very close, but we couldn't meet.
Yeah, don't worry about that. So here we are meeting. Maybe I'm in Malaysia now. I'm in Penang, Malaysia. Maybe if you're traveling, you could come out and see me. So we're lifelong.
You're living there. You're living there in Malaysia.
Yeah, in Penang. It's an island. If it were daylight, I could show it to you outside my window. But yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
I think it's the place that you love because you love diving, and probably Malaysia is a good place to do it.
It's a good, yeah, it is. It's a good, there are some places to dive in Malaysia, and then Thailand just north of where I am. So yeah, I've been diving in some places near here. Yeah. So I noticed that you are a professor. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm a professor now.
And a professor of what?
of English.
Of English. Oh, okay, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I just noticed that on one of your profiles.
Yeah, English is my life.
Uh-huh. That's good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I have here. There is an English school called CCAA,
Uh-huh.
and I have the branch that I have a branch here in my city, and I'm the owner. Okay,
Mhm.
and I'm also the teacher there. And besides that, I give classes for high school and for the university here in my city.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
And I'm getting old. And I'm getting old.
Doesn't seem to slow you down. You're still the same Felix. I remember Christmas trees with beer cans hanging from them, and
Yeah,
looks like you're into fine scotches or bourbons these days.
yeah. That doesn't change.
Yeah. So, are you networking with other people around the world with your students?
No, because classes here in Brazil is kind of very traditional. We only teach, not in my school. In my school, we teach the four abilities: speaking, listening, writing, and reading. But in schools, private or public, the teaching is very traditional, and we teach only grammar
Hmm.
because the system, okay, the system is built that way, and actually it doesn't work. But we have to do that because the books, okay, the books are prepared just to do it. So we don't teach speaking, listening. We try to, but it's very hard because although most of the students think it's very important to learn English because of globalization, blah blah, they 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 know it's important, but they don't study. It's kind of a paradox.
But I suppose, I mean, you yourself are someone who brought yourself up in language skills, or you had considerable skills when we met. So I remember your language was quite good. Would you say, Michael? Do you remember Felix's language back then? He was.
I'd like to say yes, but I don't. I don't remember.
I remember I took a course from you, Michael. I took a course from
Maybe.
an online course. You sent me a certificate. Do you remember that?
I sent
You
you what?
A certificate.
A
Oh,
certificate.
okay. Well, good. I mean, that was from David Winnett. When people finished a class, they got a certificate.
Yeah. And I remember one thing that you told me that time, that I was the first student, your first student that attended the course.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I
I have this certificate somewhere on my computer.
if you think of it, I'd love to see a copy, and that's great. So look, I honestly didn't remember that, but that's a nice piece of information to know that you were my first successful student, and now you're a professor.
Or you're lying.
Look, I don't have memory look, I know, we were together. I know we were in the palace. I know we had fun, but I really don't have a very clear memory of exactly what we did. It was fairly loose.
I've got all those chat logs, which are really interesting. Actually, just myself, while I was waiting for you guys to come, I was going through them, and I could show you a few. But basically, it's a website. I showed it to you earlier, webheads.info, and you can find the writing for Webheads page, which the same one we used back then, and the chat logs, which I was keeping at the time. So you can go and you can see all the chats. So you can track your English. You can see exactly what you were writing to one another. And I found a lot of pictures too. Oh, I put some of them on my on the Learning Together site. Did you see those? Probably on the. Maybe I should put one up.
That's just interrupt. Someone called Daniel has joined us.
Daniel has joined us. That's true. He's reflecting back to us
Okay.
what we're doing. But Daniel, can you say hi to us? We can hear you typing, so I suppose.
Hi,
Is this Dan Bassill? Oh, he's muted himself. We can't hear you, Daniel, you've muted yourself. Okay, now you're unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, well, good morning. Sorry I joined you late. I've been following Webheads since about 2001, something like that. So good to see that you're still alive and doing all this great work.
Yeah, and is it Dan Bassill? Yeah, is it Dan Bassill? Is that who we have?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, yeah, I met Dan in Chicago. He came out to the conference center there when we were at the TESOL conference a couple of years ago, and we said hi and took pictures. And anyway, yeah, I could probably find a picture of you somewhere. I'll see if you guys start talking to one another. I'll take some time and I'll browse on my computer and try to find that kind of thing. So let's see. I was going to pull up something a minute ago. What was I going to find? Just as we were. Yeah. Oh, here's Ludmilla came back. Hi, Ludmilla. Yeah. Okay. Let me. I'll just do a screen share and see what I can find.
Just a random chat log would be interesting to see.
Okay.
It was loose, but we did actually use a lot of English, and we did try and improve our English.
Yes. Well, that's really interesting because, you know, I came to discover, as I was saying earlier, that I found that people who joined us online didn't really want to talk about writing and grammar. They wanted to talk, and they wanted to communicate. And in this environment, they really started communicating. And with all the things that we threw at them, or that I should say came along, like Hear Me, for example, or Real Player, Inglan, I remember, was experimenting with that. And she sent us sound files. You know, so people were sort of experimenting and communicating with one another. And there's Sue I was talking about earlier. Let's see if here's Sue's. Do you remember? This is I went to see her in Houston a couple of years later, and there's some of the things she looked like. Anyway, this is her in some of the chats and where she was from, Okayama. So anyway, these are some of the evidence we have from this era. Now, are you seeing that? I think you're seeing this window. Yes. Okay. So let me see if I close that. What will happen? I'll go back to. Oh, I'll go start it again. So while I'm doing this, you guys need to comment. Otherwise, we'll just have mouse clicks. So if I find anything interesting, here we go. I'll go to this one. Okay, this is what we were looking at. Michael's slides. This is, by the way, is from ESL on the internet. Let's see if I can get out of this. Go to home, maybe. Okay, this is from Michael's. Oh no, it went too far away. Okay. Oh, home doesn't seem to work.
Well, home would go back to my home page, which no longer exists. Well, it's michaelcoghlan.net. There you go.
Here we go. So this is 3rd of July, and I can't remember. Oh, click here to start. Okay. Well, anyway.
July, August 98.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to find the date. We had it there, but anyway. So that's actually that's the earliest now evidence of our activities. So this is the Webheads in Action site. You can get here by going to webheads.info. So if you type webheads.info into a chat, it will take you to this page. And from there, you can click on writing for Webheads. That's where Felix and Michael and I met. And that's the Writing for Webheads page. And then if you want to see all the chat logs, you can click where I've got you can see my pointer. You can see my finger point. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that's this place. Let me just, I'll go open it here. So if you go to the chat logs, it takes you to a place where you can have your wish, Michael. You can see random chat logs. That would be here, I guess. There we go. Webheads chat logs. Here they are. So this is, click on a year, and this is what you find. So that's for 2001, 2000. Okay, I was looking there. I was searching on Felix. I found this one. Let's see. This is Sue again. I think I showed you Felix's picture a minute ago. There's where Felix joined us, and so I took some. I think we were in Yahoo at the time, so we were using Yahoo Messenger, and these are the records I kept. I was just getting into making screenshots and embedding them into web pages at the time. This is Felix back in those days, and here's a place where Felix found us on ICQ, and I directed him to Tapped-In, which is where we were meeting at the time. Just to give an example of some of the ways we used to do that. So this one, I'm not sure why I pulled this one up, but basically it was another random chat. Let me see what date it is. Trying to get up to the top here.
I see a DNB in that one.
Sorry?
I think I see a DNB in that one.
A D and B.
My DNB is a Dan Bassill.
Ah,
maybe. You were scrolling, yeah.
Okay, let me go to the top and see if your picture might be there. Dan.
Yep. Dan and Wisconsin.
That might be a different one.
Ah, this is Dan.
No, that's not me.
Oh, Dan.
That might be the chat.
That's the Dan. Yeah, Dan is somebody. This is Dan and Dan Blitz. That's what his name is.
All right.
Dan Blitz.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Well, here's where we used to meet in the palace. There's a reminiscent picture. If you go to the palace now, that link still works. Not the palace. This is Tapped-In. I'm sorry. Tapped-In was a space we used to use. We don't have too many pictures from it, but if you go to tappedin.org, I think you can still, let's just see what happens there. If you go to tappedin.org, it still works, and it tells the history of Tapped-In and gives some information about it. So it says it went up through 2013. That was a very productive space for us. Let's see, here's some of Michael's pages he was showing me from the time that Bahia joined us. I don't know, Bahia, did you do any of these assignments? Do you remember that?
I think he might have, because this was my listening course.
How would you get the certificate if you didn't do the assignment?
I don't remember. I was reading something. I read something, but I don't remember exactly what I did.
Okay, Felix. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Very long time ago.
Well, this is a presentation that we were looking at the slideshow earlier. This is a presentation that Michael did in, we clicked on the PowerPoint presentation. So this was one of the first places that he thought that he was teaching with the study.com English for Internet at about that time. So anyway, that's a few web pages. And okay, so
look at this one. This is kind of historical interest. Where's the text chat gone?
click on more. Click on more. Okay, there we go.
Control
And
V.
Dan, you could put some links in if you want us to look at what you're up to.
Look,
Dan,
this is a reading and writing assignment
okay.
for June 1997, when Hong Kong was about to leave the British womb.
Okay. Let me share that.
Historical document.
Reading and writing assignment. Okay. So
June 97, and it's actually, I've copied a newspaper article from an Australian paper.
mm-hmm.
And wrote, and then students had to answer questions about the article.
We're starting to learn more about number 7, what will happen to Hong Kong under Chinese rule. Okay, let me see if I can pull up. Here's Dan's webpage.
All right.
Yeah. So now, Dan, tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got interested in Webheads, or how we intersected, I should say, because Dan does very significant work there in Chicago. So, but you can tell us.
Well, what you've been doing right in the last few minutes of going through your archive to show the history of Webheads is something that I kind of have paralleled. I came to Chicago in 1973 after being in the Army and going to college, and to join a big retail company as an advertising writer. And I got recruited to be a volunteer in a Tutor Mentor program operated at the corporate headquarters. I got recruited to be the leader of that thing in 1975. And from that point forward, I had 2 jobs, one in advertising and one leading a Tutor Mentor program. In 1990, I left the company. We turned that into a nonprofit. In 1992, we began to say no one had a master database of all the different Tutor Mentor programs in Chicago. Therefore, no one could be working like a corporate office, helping every neighborhood have good programs. So we said, let's fill the void, and we created something called the Tutor Mentor Connection. And it started out as collecting information and sharing it through printed newsletters and directories. And at the core of that information was our list of area Tutor Mentor programs and maps showing where they are, where they're needed. And our library kept growing. It was a paper library up until 1998 when we began to move it all onto the internet. And it was through the moving things to the internet and getting involved in listservs that I came across Webheads. And John Hibbs might have been one of the people that directed me to you, and maybe it was around 2002 or 2003 that one of the events that you hosted parallel the Tutor Mentor Conference that I was organizing. And if you go back onto my website for a minute,
Okay.
tutormentorconnections.net.
Okay. Yep. We're back there.
I don't see it on my screen yet. Okay. Back up to the home page.
To the home page. Okay. How do
Just tutormentorexchange.net.
Tutor is on the page that you see?
But you're actually linking to another website where I host information. So hit your back button a couple of times.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay.
All right. Now on the left side, if you scroll down to where it says conferences, go up further.
Up further. Okay.
Now down conferences and online forums.
Here we go. There. Yes. Okay.
Let that open up. Mm-hmm. Now scroll down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. See where it says e-learning and networking goals?
E-learning.
Yeah, at the right.
At the right. Okay.
That's right there. And I click on the e-learning and the heading at the top of that.
Oh, e-learning and networking goals. Yes, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, if you scroll down on that,
mm-hmm.
These goals that I following are these are goals I developed in 2002 or 2003, parallel to the first online conferences that I was connecting with you guys, and what you were doing of connecting people around the world is something that I saw tremendous value in, and always had tried to create a parallel online interaction of people I was bringing together in Chicago for the conferences I was hosting with the goals that I list here. Because of all kinds of different issues in Chicago, I never was able to get consistent money to do all the things I wanted to do. Yet I used my websites to share the vision of what I was trying to do, so that other people might find it and duplicate it in different cities or offer to help me do it in Chicago. So what you were doing then is what inspired me in a lot of things I've been doing, and I've tried to stay connected to you guys as often as I could over the years.
Yeah, if you go to learningtogether.net, or if you find, I can show you the Learning Together page. Maybe that's where I was trying to go and share earlier, by the way, because it had some pictures of the palace there. But I'll show you how to find some of Dan's presentations. So basically, Tutor Mentor, in my understanding, means that you're finding poor kids, disadvantaged children in Chicago, and mentoring them, finding mentors for them, connecting people in that way. Is that correct?
Actually, so I've just posted a link to my blog, and if you go into that.
Okay.
So that's Tutor Mentor is part of what people do to help kids grow up. Mm-hmm. An organized Tutor Mentor program is a place in a neighborhood that connects adults from different backgrounds with kids in poor neighborhoods to help them grow up over a period of, it could be 8 to 10 to 12 years. So it's Tutor Mentor learning, all kinds of different things that might be involved, just like in a family. If you live wherever you live, as your kids grow up, you have to deal with all kinds of different issues. Depending on the affluence of the family, you have more resources to help you deal with those issues. In a poor neighborhood, you have fewer resources, and so an organized Tutor Mentor program that brings volunteers from other neighborhoods to help expands the resources that are available to those kids. And I use my blog to illustrate the things that I'm talking about. I use my archive. What you're looking at is stories from the 90s that I kept in an archive as they happened, which were a reminder of why we needed to do what we were doing. And just a couple of weeks ago, the Chicago Tribune did a series of editorials about that same story. So I used my blog to be timely with whatever was happening in the media to try to catch people's attention.
Yeah, in the screen share, I'm pointing to one picture of Dan. There's another picture of Dan, and there's another picture of Dan, right?
Right. Now the picture you're pointing at, that boy next to me is Leo Hall, who was the first, and really the only mentee that I was assigned to back in 1973.
Okay.
And right underneath that is Leo at age 50, when he invited me down to Memphis for his 50th birthday party, and he paid all the expenses. And we've been connected. So we've been connected for over 40 years. And to me, that's when I talk about tutoring and mentoring, I'm talking about how do we connect people who don't live in poverty with kids who do live in poverty, and support long-term connections, whereas both become adults It could be the kid helping the mentor as much as the mentor helping the kid. And through the internet, it enables those connections to take place regardless of where people move throughout their lives. And that's been the vision I've been trying to share for many, many years. And as well as I might say it on my website and my blog, the number of people who actually know that I exist or see that stuff is relatively small.
Yeah. Oh, this is helping me connect dots here. I mean, I've encountered a lot of your dots, and this one really puts into perspective. Is quite similar to what we do. We have Michael and I have known each other for quite a long time, and it's getting maybe late for Michael. I don't know. Are you still with us? Yeah.
I'm still here, but I am about to go, mainly because I'm going away in the morning. I need to do a few things. Okay.
Well, if you need to leave, you can go ahead. I think what I was just going to do is show, let's see, let me just, I'll just, while you're packing up there or whatever you're doing, let me start a screen share. I'll just put the pages that, one thing I'd like to do is I'd like to look up, there we go. Okay. All right. So share that. Sharing takes several clicks. It's so if I go to, if you go to learningtogether.net, I guess it's a good place to start. Learningtogether.net. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. How do I get anything written? There's something called about learningtogether.net. This is the archive where I keep everything. But the best place to find things is if you find the archive, where it will be here. Here we go. Listings of past presentations. This is the archive. If you go to that page, you can say search on somebody. Like, let's just Control F search on Bassill. Okay. There we go, Dan Bassill. So he's here 8 times. Let me see. So it looks like he was with us in 2012, and he joined us, in 2012 a couple of times. So if you just click on one of those, I'll just do that. Okay, so okay, so this is from Sunday, April 15th, 2000. I'm not sure what I clicked on there, but I meant to pop out to, this is he was in Learning Together episode 100. He's a milestone webhead. He was with us for the 100th webcast. We're up to 417 now. So anyway, basically, you can play the MP3 there. I don't know if we put it in a video or what, but anyway, there's an MP3. Okay, so anyway, you can hear what he said. It's all archived. That's basically what I do. I will just pop back out to one more thing, and then I'll be kind of done, so we don't keep people awake unnecessarily. In this, if I can just come to the upcoming presentations, that's where we are now. So this is what we're doing right now. These are the people we were talking to, the original Webheads, Felix, Michael, and Vance, and here are some of the spaces we used to occupy in the palace. This is just, I don't want to elaborate. There's a story behind the picture here. Maggie was trying to communicate to us what her walker looked like, because she has muscular dystrophy. And we found a wall in the palace where she could write on it. And so she drew us a picture of this thing that she was trying to describe. Wow. So yeah, that was when that was back in the 2001 or 2. I meant to try to find the page that this came from. So anyway, that's what we were doing. Obviously, our techniques helped Dan to put together some ideas, the ideas that he was taking out into the community, which is really cool. Let me pop over here. Felix is back.
Yeah, I am.
So Felix,
I'll just say good night.
yeah, because
Okay.
Michael, he's in Adelaide, and he's on a half-hour time difference. It must be really confusing for you to keep those half hours straight.
Get used to it. It's only everybody else that gets confused.
No.
Felix, good to see you again.
Good
Good
to see
hear
you too,
well
Michael.
and happy and having a rich, full life.
Thanks.
And
We all.
sometime.
Yeah, we're all having rich, full lives, especially after we retired, I suppose.
Who's
I
retired?
don't know what retired means. Nice to talk to you, Vance. Dan?
Okay, always nice to see you again.
Nice
Okay,
to meet
Michael.
you, Michael. I've seen your name a lot over the years, but I don't think we've ever connected with one of these things.
Sorry, Dan, I didn't catch that.
I say it's nice to meet you. I've seen your name over the years in many of these things, but I don't think I've ever been connected in one of these things with you. So it's an honor to meet you. Felix, I'm sure I've seen you too. So glad to be here this morning.
Likewise, Dan. Thank you. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night, Michael. And I can smell things from the kitchen. I think it's dinner time here. So I'm going to go probably in the next 5 minutes or so. And, oh, Felix popped out again. Oh, no, he just moved. Michael popped out. Felix, your webcam jumped up into Michael's place. That's okay. But I don't want to run everybody off prematurely. So anyway, it's good to see Felix again.
Vance, let me say, you maintain your archive, which I think is fantastic. At the heart of what I do is a library of links to other people's sites. My blog does that, and my website does that. Mm-hmm. And so in my site, I point to several different places on your sites. So we're cross-linking our archives as different entry points that people might come through to find either one of us. Mm-hmm. And I suspect other webheads have been doing the same thing. So that's pretty good.
Well, yeah, the places that I showed you where you're in our archives, of course, those blog posts link out to your sites, the things that you were telling us about at the time.
And I have embedded articles in my blog when we did our different presentations. So if you were to search Webheads on my blog, you would find articles where I've talked about you and posted our interviews and so forth.
I will do that, and I'll put that in this archive. So I'll make that an exercise. So let me touch base with Felix. Because this guy is he's one of the first webheads. He was such a personality. From you, we learned rolling on floor, laughing my ass off, for example. So we had quite a rich weekly encounter. We were meeting every week, and we were part of a community that was really very special.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was 20 years ago, Vance.
Yeah, you said 10 years a minute ago, but yeah, 20 years ago. Yeah.
20 years
and
ago.
It's still online. Still online. You can go and you can resurrect those days if you want. Maybe even contact some people.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see the pictures, the chat logs, mm-hmm. what we were doing back then.
Yes. And it's something that actually the Webheads in Action, that is the teachers who became interested in what we were doing back in those days, they formed another group called Webheads in Action. And that group we started that in 2002, about the time writing for Webheads started to diminish. Mm-hmm. And that group is still going on. So we're still interacting in our Yahoo group, which is the most. I mean, we've also got a Facebook page and things like that. So, but basically, it's kind of the traffic has died out. You know, it used to be something. If you look at some of our web pages, our chat logs I was showing you, so all those pictures across the top, and those are all the people who came together every week. Writing for Webheads in Action was doing that, was very strong for several years and formed many links, but has moved off into different communities. So like right now we're into Minecraft. We're doing something called EVO, Electronic Village Online, which started about 2001, I think, 2002. That's going strong, has a lot of webheads in it, and it's some weekly, it's a 5-week course. It's 5-week courses. You might be interested in having a look at it, called Electronic Village Online. I can put in the text chat a link to it. Put an HTTP here. Trying to talk and chew gum at the same time. EVO sessions, pbworks.com. Okay, so that's in the text chat. Oh, we lost Felix. Okay, we still got Dan.
Vance, will the recording be available on YouTube, or
Yes.
will it'll be on YouTube?
Well, yeah, it'll be at learningtogether.net, and in that index I showed you. So where you can search my index for your name, and you can find all the links that I have recorded for you, and you'll be there again for today, and that'll be at the top of that page. I'll make sure that you get the word.
Well, I'll make sure that I point to this, because I'm connected with Webheads was the first for me. Maybe even earlier than that was the distance learning group in Australia. But then after Webheads, the Amidyar group and the Social Edge platform hosted by the Skoll Foundation became an online community where I'm still connected to people I met there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was Skoll Foundation, S-K-O-L-L.
S-K-O-L-L, Skoll, okay.
Yeah.
Foundation. Yeah, if you can.
So that was about 2005. And then I began to connect with, I'm sure you've overlapped with George Stevens and that group of people talking about MOOCs and connected learning.
George Siemens, Stephen Downs.
Yeah. So
yes.
I started connecting with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, started connecting with them in the late 2000s, and that led me. They did their first MOOC about 2010 or 11.
2008.
There's one called MOOC/CA that is archived now.
Yes, that was their first.
That one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then in 2012 and 13, a whole bunch of them. There was a hashtag EAT. I'll push some hashtags here.
Yeah, well, that's what I was telling Felix. We've kind of gone off into so many different communities, but the people are the same. In fact, in these MOOCs, we're interacting. We say 4 degrees of separation or something like that. We're probably, when we get into a MOOC, we probably, like, if we don't actually meet at the MOOC, then we've just got this 1 degree of separation, because
and the hashtags have provided a unifying feature. In other words, any of us can search on a hashtag and find something where all of us might be there.
Yes, I was in ET MOOC. I remember ET MOOC.
Yeah. Huh? I'm still connected to people from those. The CL MOOC is the most active that I'm part of it continuously since 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go onto my Twitter feed every day and I search CL MOOC just to see what people are talking about and engaging in, and I retweet, I go into the blogs and I read. So what you guys started 20 years ago is still continuing through these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm disappointed in is that the ecosystem of people helping people in the non-school environment, the out-of-school time, which people running programs depend on donors, they depend on volunteers. There's a wide ecosystem of what it takes to be able to connect a kid and volunteer. All those people need to be talking with each other, and I don't find a hashtag continuously used that's bringing that system of people together who come from Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
or who come from other cities that have high poverty around the United States or the world. I find
Start
a lot
one.
I try. I find a lot of educator hashtags at groups, but not that out of school time community as much. Anyway, that's what I continue to do, and you guys were an inspiration for it. So thank you.
Well, nice to see you a couple of years ago in Chicago, and nice to meet you again. And as we keep running through these MOOCs and through each other's direct communities, direct projects, so that's really nice. And I hope to see you again soon. And
Right. Well, I'll let you go and enjoy your dinner. And
yeah. Well, it was really nice that you dropped by and helped us connect a few more dots.
Okay. Have a good day.
Okay. You too, Dan. Dan Bassill from Chicago, Tutor Mentor Foundation. Okay. Thank you. So we're signing off, Learning Together episode 419. I don't know if this is Sunday, September 8th, 2019. I always like to make sure I date stamp these podcasts. And I'm going to stop the recording if I can. This will pause the recording. That will stop it. Okay. So I'm going to stop it. So, Dan, see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.